Hello there, and a very warm welcome to The Point. This is Smart 24 TV, and we drive your business. My name is Anthony Sebale, and I am your host. And definitely to be part of the show, you can follow us on our social media. That's at Smart 24 TV now on Twitter. And then on YouTube, we are live at Smart 24 TV Live. And definitely you'll be able to be part of the discussions here. On The Point, of course, we get to delve into topics that shape our lives and society. And today we have a very intriguing discussion with one, of course, of the guests that's going to be surprising today. We are talking about personal development, and personal development in as far as career is concerned, in as far as professionalism, in as far as work is concerned, especially for the young people. Personal development aims to create a very productive society, and especially for our nation, Uganda, to see that everyone realizes their top capability. When you look at professions nowadays, it's quite interesting to note that some careers become obsolete within a few years after conquering that particular career. So it cannot be overstressed that personal development is key to success in career and professionalism. Now, joining me to discuss this and more is none other than Counsel Nawada Julie, and she is a dynamic young lawyer, both corporate and commercial lawyer, with 8 years of experience, very charismatic, and of course, very interested in young people as well. She's also part of the Uganda Young Lawyers Committee, the Young Lawyers Committee, if I put that right. And of course, they're interested in young lawyers out there, and of course, seeing that they grow those young lawyers as well as other people in other different professions. You're most welcome, Counsel Juliet.
Oh, thank you so much, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be here, and we are happy to be on a TV station that promotes a lot of young people, the youth. Most of your programs actually feature developmental programs for the youth. Thank you.
Wow. First, talk to us about, first of all, the Young Lawyers Committee. What is the brainchild behind this, and why the Young Lawyers?
First and foremost, I'm here on behalf of the Uganda Law Society, Young Lawyers Committee. Yeah. So the Young Lawyers Committee is a child of the Uganda Law Society. It's a committee that focuses on all activities to do with young lawyers. The definition of a young lawyer can get very political, but ideally a young lawyer would be a person with under 5 years of practice, and also people who are active within that space. But we don't discriminate, so anybody who still feels youthful can be considered a young lawyer. So the Young Lawyers Committee has been running a flagship program, the Young Lawyers Symposium, which is intended to showcase skill sets for young people, to connect the young lawyers to senior lawyers, to bridge that gap, but also to bring closer mentors who can give advice to young lawyers. And in so doing, we partner with several stakeholders, for example, Smart TV, UNDP. Before this, we had a partnership with Attorney General's Association. And so we every year we try to make it different. We try to target and trigger particular topics that are important, that we think in the time and age that we are in, that they will emulate something that young lawyers can take home, can deal with, and can use to develop themselves. We've had many themes in the past, but we decided this year to focus on personal development, and our theme is self-leadership as a foundation for exceptional practice beyond borders. Why self-leadership? We want a young lawyer to stop thinking in terms of what other people can do for them and start to think about what they can do for themselves and how they can develop themselves. The first one of the first commandments that man has ever received was to be fruitful and multiply. And it was not to your neighbor, your boss, it was to an individual.
Yeah.
So everybody is expected to be fruitful and multiply. So we need to run away from the state of helplessness. We need to run away from carrying that responsibility to other people, and we need to first take personal initiative. So that is why our theme is self-leadership. We need to lead ourselves. It's very important for us to lead ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yes, and why personal development still? We are focusing on supporting the sustainable development goals, particularly sustainable development goal number 8, which is decent work and economic growth. If you map those two together, you'll see that they're trying to say that us, the human beings in a country or in the world, we contribute a particular percentage to whatever will become the bigger picture of economic growth.
Yeah.
Whatever produces the money, whatever produces the aspects that create the economic growth, start with the backs of people, start with the minds of people, start with the hearts of people. So what are we as people working at, to develop ourselves and in turn create an environment, a work environment that gives a decent work environment
for other people,
and in turn economic growth. It might be a very long journey between one personally developing themselves and then creating an environment around themselves and then ultimately creating a percentage contribution to GDP. But this journey must start with a human being, because without the human being, then we will not have the whole concept of an economy.
Sure.
What will it be serving?
Yes,
so that's why we are there, and because it's an SDG that we are triggering, we have also partnered with United Nations Development Program, because they are the custodians of sustainable development goals. We will be joined by the chief guest, Elsie Atafo, who is the resident representative for UNDP in Uganda. So yes, that's where we stand, and the 4th annual symposium will be happening tomorrow and Friday, and we hope that all young lawyers will tune in and will be able to attend and learn something. And I guarantee you that you will walk away feeling like a liberated person, because you will have tools that will lead you to thinking and planning.
Councillor Julie, we're going to talk about the symposium a little bit more later. But let's start with what you understand by personal development. I know our viewers here, some of them might not be lawyers, some of them might not be professionals, but they perceive personal development in different ways. Some think it's higher education, some think it's attaining much higher positions at their organizations. But what is personal development?
Personal development has quite a number of definitions, and I think it squarely depends on where you stand and where you are in your life. But ideally, to me, through the rigors of life, I've come to define it as the ability for an individual to first of all acknowledge their need to grow, right? So after you've acknowledged the need to grow, then personal development becomes the process of planning what growth should look like for you, what success should look like for you, and then after planning you implement, you acquire the right skills, you acquire the right networks, you build the right environment, you help the right people to actually build on that environment, which wholesomely guarantees that you will be growing, because we learn every day. But no one can attain success without planning. No one can attain their goal without actually putting and setting out a plan.
You're saying it must be intentional.
Yes, it must be.
It just doesn't happen. There must be an intent. Someone says, okay, in the next 5 years, this is where I want to see myself, and work towards that.
That's true. Nothing ever happened without a plan, and most of the things that don't have a plan either don't go well or they don't materialize. So the first thing in personal development is planning, is being intentional. Once you're intentional, you will then be able to identify who you are, what you want, and who you are going to attain it with or from, and then you start to plan. So when you put anything in writing, it falls in line, because it's the universe is listening. So once you write it down, once you conceptualize it, the universe starts to listen, and the universe loves it when we are intentional. Say if you don't mention that I would like to pursue postgraduate studies, then no one will know your interests, no one will be able to give you advice, no one will be able to point you in the right direction. But once you mention it, you start to think, oh, can I visit this website? People start to know how to help you. So you must start with being intentional. And I know personal development looks different for different people. So whereas one person's personal development may be moving from a diploma to, let's say, a degree, another person's personal development may be moving from one income bracket to another. Another person's personal development may look like
opening up new branches
of his business, and some may be acquiring a skill set, some may be creating an empire. So it's at different levels, so we can't judge ourselves by the success of another person. That's why it's important for you to be intentional and plan for yourself. So we start with planning and we start with being intentional.
Let's talk about now economic growth and personal development. When I look at, for example, we've just been in the National Budget Week and the reading of the national budget. You hear all these figures and government being very ambitious with its revenue collection, targeting the fact that our economy is growing. The Bank of Uganda just released a report under their monetary policy committee that it showed that our economy is growing from 4.6% last year but one to a 5.3% in this financial year, and it's projected to be at 6.3%, meaning things are getting better by the figures. When you look at the realistic part of it, when you look at young people, the high levels of unemployment, it's absurd. There's a mismatch. The unemployment rates are going up. Inflation, yes, is coming down slightly, but still the economic challenges are there. You could see through the murders that you're seeing, people desperately, taking people's money away. It shows that there is something lacking. How is personal development linked to economic growth? Is there any relationship?
Yes, it's there's a great relationship, because, as I mentioned earlier, the economy only exists because there are individuals, there are people it's serving, right? Without people, you don't have it, right? So if there were no human beings, to actually service it, grow it, would you have an economy? No. So it's just like how they draw little points in a game. For you to get the bigger picture, you have to start from X to Y, right? And in between there, you're building, let's say, a forest. You're recreating a forest. You have 1 tree, 2 trees, 3 trees to create a forest. So every human being, in one way or the other, is a consumer, is a producer, is an entrepreneur, is something under the umbrella of the big word economy.
Whether they know it or not.
Whether they know it or not. Whether you're making popcorn, whether you're seated at home as a house manager, you are part of the what? The economy. Because you're either negatively impacting it or positively impacting it, which is really, really the focal point, people. Nothing happens without people. Yes, we have now AI, but the AI is created by people. The AI is used by people. And if you create the AI to serve AI, that doesn't make sense. So why personal development is because if at an individual level, I understand that I have a great responsibility and a great obligation first to myself, and then to my family, and then the primary unit of the state is the family. Then you know, so if you're not learning at the primary unit of the state, then which means at the individual level, there's something lacking. So it starts with an individual. You need to be fruitful, and you need to multiply. So if you're growing yourself intentionally, every contribution that comes out of you adds particular value to the economy. It adds something to the economy. Of course, there are people who are not intentional, and that's really the greatest problem, and that's what we're trying to avoid at the with the themes that we have at the symposium. An individual will sit down and plan and say, this is what I want my life to look like. I will want to be a lawyer. I will start at a law firm X. I will do corporate commercial law. I will start a law firm. That law firm will pay taxes. That law firm will employ people. That law firm will do cross-border trade. That law firm will participate in the African free trade economy. That law firm will participate in the regional trade. So one way or the other, it starts with an individual. Your vision, your mission, who you are as an individual, and what you've planned for in your small capacity, as an individual, will then feed into the larger picture. So let's say I become a lawyer, I feed into the legal sector, which feeds into the justice sector, which serves a greater multitude, which negotiates trade deals for the country, which, so every individual is required to take it upon themselves as their own responsibility to plan for their development, to plan for their growth. And that way they can guarantee, not immediately, but it's a compounding effect. So what I do today will compound into a great tax. Something that I'm doing, let's say I started cooking. I have a catering company. One day I'm under the tax threshold. The next day I'm contributing 100,000. Before you know it, I'm at the level of being invited to do events at Namboli, and I'm paying over 50 million, 100 billion in tax, and I'm the one concerned with URA's stakeholder engagements. So it starts with me and a little dream, a little light that I have, that will then be multiplied into 1,000, into so many. So you can't avoid personal development for individuals, if you want to actually conquer economic growth. That's why SDG number 8 is talking about decent work, because that's where people start from. The decent work they're doing, either for others or self-generated work, has to lead to economic growth at a certain crossroad. So we can't neglect it.
Wow. Talking about still personal development in light of career trajectory and overall success, how does someone rate themselves when it comes to career and success? I know people have different sentiments about success and career. Some people feel the higher you go in academics, that's the more money you're going to get. We are realizing that is not so. We're realizing college dropouts are being some of the richest people in the world. Evidence is just on the board. Elon Musk, Bill Gates, all of them dropouts. And you find so many young people into this ideology. They're saying, okay, I think personal development is just more than career. I can do with more things outside school than I'm actually doing in school. And our school setting doesn't give us that space to really get to explore and try different things. We are so strict. We have to be in class at this time, and then night prep, and then apart from of course some few people that have changed, like the international school curriculums. But how can someone really look at personal development in all angles, not just their career development, but looking at a successful individual? How can someone tap into their personal gifts and develop themselves in all aspects?
That's a tough question, and it's an extensive question. But I think we'll begin with the wheel of life. Have you heard of the wheel of life?
Yeah.
So we are, as an individual, we're not you don't see me, Julie, and you think this is all that there is to me. We are multifaceted, and we have different aspects of our lives: financial, spiritual, relational, intellectual. So many aspects inform the individual that you see seated before you here. So if we're going to look at personal development, we may not focus on it as career only, because you might be successful career-wise and you're failing in all those other aspects of life, and it will make you terribly miserable or unable to enjoy that one individual stream of of success. So when we look at personal development, to go back to your initial question, career isn't the only determinant of personal development, because when you use the word career, you might be evoking professionals like lawyers, engineers, or people in a corporate setting, but development and personal development should entail anything that a human being does that propels them from one level to another level. So it's about the ability to look at yourself and know, I've come from X and I'm come from A and I'm going to Z. And these are the steps that I have to take. So no, we are not judging success by careers only. We're judging success and growth by the quality of life. By the quality of life, I mean, is an individual happy? And of course, happy is also a big word, right? Is an individual able to meet what were the primary needs?
Yes.
Food.
Basic needs.
Basic needs.
Food, shelter,
clothing. Yeah. So if you're able to move from that level and expound and say, I woke up yesterday and I was in the village. I bought a plot of land. I did some coffee. I'm not yet exporting, but I'm selling to an exporter. That's a step. I learn then what the trade looks like. Then I grow, into it. I may not have gone to law school or Harvard, but I am growing. So the problem with curtailing personal development to career is that it excludes the informal sector. And the informal sector is a big contributor to your budgets, to your economic growth, to your GDP. The people in Chokubo doing trade, you struggle. If you look at URSB's definitions of professions or what, they find that they are curtailing them as business people. You can't define what career they are taking. But a lot more money is made in Chokubo than in uptown offices. So we cannot say that only professionals can map out career, can map out personal development. We have to steer away from what? From curtailing it to professionals and look at the individual. Primarily, growth means I have improved.
So it doesn't matter, even if you're a barber, you must be doing a better haircut today than you did yesterday.
Exactly. And personal development, as the word says, it's personal. So other people might want to judge you on another standard, but you have to be able to say, this is where I was and this is where I am going. So we're looking at it as a 360. That it includes the informal sector, the formal sector, the people who are perceived not to be contributing monetarily, like stay-home mothers, they are actually contributing by doing the things they do at home to enable the people that go out and leave their homes to study, to do business. So everyone has a certain level of development they attain, right? It goes back to intentionality. It goes back to knowledge of self, to know what does my growth look like. That's why we encourage people to do SMART goals in their own individual capacity. To just sit down with yourself and know, where am I going? What am I doing? Before I sign up to someone's company, who am I? What are my interests? and where am I going with this interest? That will help you decide, am I going to work for NSSF? Am I going to work for UNDP? Am I going to work for Smart TV? Am I going to use my legal career in the courtroom, or am I going to join Anthony in this show and become a communications person? What is my strong set? Yeah. And you know why that's so limiting? If you put it in the career sense, it robs people of the ability to be multifaceted. Yeah. Look at our senior counsel, John Katende. Yeah. He's a lawyer. He owns Ebony's. He's in the arts world. He's in the film sector. He's in the publishing sector. I think they covered the book, the memoirs of the Nabagirika, right? So he's multifaceted. And if you had only said be a lawyer, career, grow in that one line, you'd never have seen all of those other talents. So no, everybody out there, you have the responsibility of deciding what personal growth looks like to you and writing it down and knowing it intricately. Planning for it, identifying the threats, identifying those that will help you, the aspects that will help you, the opportunities, and then the skills you need, and then you start your journey. Otherwise, you will be a market vendor in your own life, picking this, picking that, and not being able to actually map out what development looks like to you. Your scale will be up and down. You will not be able to determine what you've done and what you haven't done.
Wow. I think I need to take a break right now and see if I have developed personally so far for this first session. Well, we are still with Counsel Juliet Josephine Nawada, who is a legal expert and a lawyer with 8 years experience and a member of the Young Lawyers Committee under the Uganda Law Society. We are taking a very quick breather. When we return, Counsel, we want to know, how can young people leverage on personal development to see that they uplift their competencies and, of course, utilize their talents, soft skills, special skills to survive within the current economic conditions. We're seeing many young people nowadays warding off, especially from the employment, because there are no jobs, there are new jobs. Even for lawyers, it used to be automatic that the moment you graduate, you have a job, but it's not anymore. How can they really leverage upon this personal development to see that they survive? My name is Anthony. We are taking a very quick breather. We'll return shortly. Stay with us.